As a whole, SaaS companies have lost up to $1 trillion. Huge problem for SaaS companies.
My customers are needing me and my company less and less. Something that used to take me 8 hours, I did in 12 minutes while I was on a Zoom call, and it cost $2.40.
That is the appropriate use case for AI.
Nothing drives me more mad than buying an additional tool and then pitching me on why they're a CRM as well.
All this stuff gotten to be like, it feels like cable. Like, remember where you had everything in one, and now you broke all the subscriptions down, and now you got 20 different subscriptions, and now it's more than cable. And now that's how I feel like
that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. We just want to go, what do I have to do today? What did I do yesterday? How do I succeed today? What do I need to do tomorrow? What do I need to be worried about?
All right, guys, today you're in for absolute treat. I have Brad all the way from Atlanta. I have Sam. I have Adam in Canada, and I have Mike. Where are you at today?
I'm in St. Louis today.
St. Louis. You have palm tree or something behind you. Like what is it?
That's the fake background. The real background is a window, and I'm in a tornado area.
All right. Well, hope you're not gonna have tornado today. On a good news side, let's start with that. Sam survived a debate with Steve Badger last week, and look, he's still not canceled. Let's see if he'll survive this one. No, but today we're gonna have the whole podcast about SaaS, what's happening with the Salesforce panic, AI, CRMs, the crazy world. And I want to open with the absolute expert in the space, Adam sent. Last week, actually this Monday, I talked to one of our contractors who started playing with a cloud and said that he's already refigured Roofle for his business and canceling subscription. And I see more and more contractors playing with AI, literally replacing tools they used to pay for. So I want to kind of make episode of a state of AI, state of CRMs. And Adam, I'm going to ask you to explain exactly, because I'm your best friend, I consider myself, but I don't know what the heck are you doing. So I don't know what RoofClaw is. Like, what is it that you do today?
Yeah, so for the last decade, we've been providing tools, training, and systems for roofing companies, mostly moving companies onto like an enterprise level CRM, like a HubSpot, right? And that's got love and that's got hate, right? There's a lot of established players in roofing, and I've always just liked something that had a little more control over data and automation, blah, blah, blah. And what I am seeing, I really put the nail in my own coffin a year ago when I took 600 hours of webinars that I've done and shoved it into an AI and built a chatbot that could basically answer questions, right? Simple stuff that I've answered 1,000 times. And I started realizing right then that like I put the first nail in my own coffin, because now, this thing gets 100 messages a day that don't require me to answer it. My own value goes away. Then I started to see a lot of what you're seeing, which is roofers moving from antiquated dog shit, pardon my language, to vibe coded dog shit. It's a lot of the same, but like they're excited. They're excited about the idea of opening Lovable and being like, build me a supplementing platform, build me a CRM, build me a Roofle competitor, build me an instant estimator, right? And again, 200,000 projects a day start like this. So most of it is garbage, and they don't know what they're doing necessarily because they don't understand the fundamentals behind it. But what you are seeing is if you look at Salesforce and HubSpot and ServiceNow stock, they're down 50 to 60% over the last 12 months, because the great fear is that now, you're right, you can just make your own software quite easily without knowing how to code. But I think that that's short-sighted. What you're really going to see is that I myself have not touched my CRM, my project management software, or my accounting system in the last 2.5 months. I just go from one window, and it's this RoofClaw, which is just an adaptation of OpenClaw, which is something that rode a massive amount of hype. And so what is OpenClaw? It's an open source project, meaning it got released on the internet for free. So it's free for anybody. And in a matter of 2 months, it became the most, like a star on GitHub. If you hear about GitHub stars, it's like a like on Facebook or a follower on YouTube. It got more followers, likes, or whatever on GitHub, but they're measured in stars, than things that have been around for 12 years. It was like a hockey stick of growth. And it got all the way to the point of like Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, the overlord of graphic processing units, saying every business needs an open cloth strategy, and even built a specialized piece of hardware to run it and released it from stage on like 3 months notice. So the concept is what we're seeing. So what I've seen is my customers are needing me and my company less and less. They don't need me to like, they don't need to send in a ticket for me to make an automation for their CRM to make it so that when this happens in their CRM, this happens in their field service, or when this happens in their canvassing software, this happens in their email. They don't need me for that anymore.
Can I ask you a question before we'll die from boredom here? Because you speak in language that only you speak. Explain to us why you have so many laptops. Do you employ more laptops than people? Do you have actual employees?
Yes, I have 16 employees and I have 4 laptop employees. And on those 4 laptop employees, there's about 8 agentic employees. So there's about 2 agent. There's like one has 3, one has 1, but like it's about 8.
What's one S1? Now you're talking code again.
Sorry.
S1,
Okay.
S3.
Yes, I have 8 employees that are operating in laptops.
So they're not humans.
They're not humans. When they have the difference between that and Claude, for example, which is super powerful, right? Is that they stay on 24 hours a day. They will work for 2 days or 2 weeks by themselves. They know who they are. I'm trying to do this without getting into the weird language, but
they have a soul. Yeah, they have a soul.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
Simple text files that go into this. There's what they call a soul.md file, which I don't love as a Christian, but whatever. There's a identity text file, an agent's text file, a memory. So this thing has a purpose. It knows who it is. It knows it's
How many humans do you employ?
12 W-2s and 4 1099s.
What are their roles? Like what positions do you employ for?
For humans?
Yeah.
They build the CRMs and different softwares for roofers, and there's customer success. We have 2 people who work in marketing and a director of operations, an accountant, and salespeople. So from typical sales, production, finance.
So from those 12, what can your 8 can replace and cannot replace? Like who's replaceable, who's not replaceable yet?
The fulfillment of customer support and building out of the CRMs is probably the easiest thing. The doing of the marketing is like hugely disrupted by it. And the medium answer is all of them.
So all of them can be replaced.
Everybody, but I would say like sales, really, right now, like sales is probably the only one that can't be fully replaced. But even in that, like something that used to take me 8 hours, I did in 12 minutes while I was on a Zoom call, and it cost $2.40. Like I used to take like 7 hours of Zoom calls in discovery that we do in sales, then rip through the AI transcripts, used AI to help me do it. But it would still take hours, and then produce a 1 year.
Let me ask you I want to ask you this question, and I want to ask other 3 co-hosts the same question. Do you look at AI as a tool, or do you look as employee?
I view it as an employee in a hybrid workforce. I don't want to replace people. I view it as a hybrid workforce that creates more opportunity for humans to be human. That's not a cliche marketing thing. Like there's stuff that all of us are paying people to do that is just clicky clacky, unfulfilling, unrewarding, non-human work that is just taking away from the ability for people to be people.
But why not give people the tool to do that? Like if you have accountant, your accountant can use a tool. Can you replace? But you're saying you can replace accountant with AI accountant.
You could, but you couldn't replace. I guess I spoke in too much of an absolute. You can replace almost everything that they do so that they can do the things that you would want a human being for, to guide you through your numbers, to help you give context. But the stuff that they are doing and the stuff that you usually need two or three, like when you think you need to hire a second person, is when you don't. Like I'll give you an example of something that's super relevant, just happened in this last half a year. We have a director of operations. His job is to direct the operations of the company. But there's two things that he's still better at than anybody else at RBP. Data migration, so moving your stuff off AccuLynx into HubSpot. He's still the best at that. And there's like 7 different ways that roofers like to invoice. He's really good at figuring out the HubSpot to QuickBooks part, right? The accounting connection. He's still the best at it. We've taught other people, but he still just has the best understanding because he used to run a roofing company. So he would have to build these things, and it would take, and he would, my employees would, hey, I need help with this. Can you do this? Well, since deploying Claude, he's not even using OpenClaw yet. Just since using Claude properly, being training, it took me about 6 hours to train him. Now he just scopes it, and then he can go on a walk and answer a few questions on his phone through the process. So it used to take him 13 hours, takes him maybe 30 minutes of total work, but maybe like 3 hours of monitoring. But he can go walking, and he lost 30 pounds in 6 months because instead of being trapped behind a computer, he can basically manage an agent doing it. So does that mean I fire him because he's replaceable? You're like, with 10 hours more work, yeah, I could probably completely remove him from the process, but he still needs to interact with the customer and he still has to run the company, but he doesn't have to do this thing that's unfulfilling and unrewarding. Like, who woke up one day and said, you know what I want to do when I grow up? Data migration and connecting accounting systems to CRMs.
Got it. Brad, where are you on it?
Yeah, no, so Adam's exactly right. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Tim about it earlier this morning. So if you think about business, and this applies to any discipline in business, right? You have an end goal, right? It's to sell a product or a service and to deliver good customer service, right? And then we've got all these things in between, right? Which are the tasks and the things that we have to do to deliver that final result, right? So if I can, for my leader in whatever seat he's occupying, if I could remove the friction, automate these repetitive tasks to an AI agent and free him up to be a human doing human things, which is acquiring new business, nurturing existing business, converting business through the sales cycle, right? Doing the things that we do, right? That is the appropriate use case for AI.
Sam?
I agree.
What do you use?
I have a guy that works for us full time, and that's all he does is figure out ways to automate different tasks throughout our process.
Just automation then?
Yeah, automation. A lot of it's AI ran. Like, there's a lot of AI backend. I don't know the details. I'm not that smart about it. I have a guy that's way smarter than me, but he builds all the systems. So yeah, to Adam's point, it's not necessarily a target to replace anyone, but it's like, especially with us, like PAs, it's a professional service. So it's like, when you hire us, you don't want to hire us to do all these minute tasks throughout the process, all this data entry, all the BS, all the drafting emails. Like, you just want us to get a claim won. And if I can help my team do that in a way quicker timeline, then why would we not do it?
Mike?
For us, I think what AI is doing right now is it's allowing the mom and pops and definitely, I'm just going to speak to the smaller guys. I mean, there's clearly the large companies that are doing things, but somebody like myself, it's allowing me to be in more markets. It's allowing people with less employees to do more. Automation is clearly heavy. Aside from that, I'm on Chat, Claude, and pretty much Chat and Claude are my main two every day. And then aside from that, I'm tapping into Victor right now. And I see a lot of other people that are building their own AI, so that's interesting as well. But I just really like the fact that it's allowing everybody who takes some time to invest into it to really be able to just, time management's been just hell for everybody. Like, that's been the hardest thing that everybody's had to work on, at least I think, and myself, I'm sure we can all relate to that. It really allows us to condense everything, because all the examples you hear is I was doing something in this amount of time and now I'm doing it in this amount of time. And then so now I can do more things. And I think that's what it's doing. It's allowing people who are either extreme multitaskers or serial entrepreneurs or just people with a lot of stuff to do to really condense their time and get more done.
Love it. I'll share. I'm going opposite direction. I think of all of you, especially of Adam. I'm like further and further from Adam. He's going all hiring computers. I'm hiring. I think we hired like 4 full-time employees in the past like 30 days. And here's my take. I think what AI is doing is awesome for automation, for something what Adam does. But I am more on a creative side. Like, you can use AI as a tool. Like, I have 3 full-time graphic designers. I'm about to, to do number 4. You can always tell if a thumbnail or video, or even my kids, like my kids are smarter than me. Even my kids, hate AI. They immediately analyze it. Oh, it's AI. Oh, it's filter, right? I feel like we scroll faster, which like our eyes training now. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it authentic, right? And what I hate to see in the industry where AI comes to marketing and all it does, it boosts ego, because if you're the business owner, yeah, you can go and for $200 create, 1,000 Facebook posts for your business. But ask yourself this question: who will click on it? Who will read? Who will not scroll through it, right? Yeah, when you make a video with a Sora, it makes you feel good because you've been procrastinated to the videos, and now you have this video that you've been procrastinating, and it makes you feel good. No one else around you, just you. And now you hoping that people will click and they will do stuff for you. I'm going opposite direction. I think we need the best talent we can get to use AI, and then the most creative, the most authentic, the most original will win. Because if 1,000 roofers use an AI for the Facebook post, which one do you think will actually get? It's the one who takes their phone and actually say something that other people did not say before. So that's my problem. Even though we have and I'm pretty sure all my team uses all of it, the problem is YouTube thumbnail. Do you think we cannot create it with a AI? Yes, we can, but make it clickable. Like, I just paid paying Kickcharge like $20,000 to rebrand one of my brands. Not gonna mention which one, but the reason I'm doing it because I need the best expertise possible. Like, the power of the branding. Can you create a logo for like $20? Yes, you can, but I would rather work with the 20 designers and have 100 revisions and be involved, versus look at something that good enough, because good enough is not good enough anymore. So AI creates something that's good enough that owner will look is like, oh, I like it. Yeah, because you didn't have, if you compare it to nothing, is it? But if you're trying to stand out from 1,000 other designs, now you have to be the best creator. So that's just my take.
I think the thing is,
can I talk about why I agree with you and disagree with you?
Sure.
So I will say this. Right now, you have 2 skills. You have to go to one or the other if you don't want to be a part of the permanent underclass of society in the next decade. 1, personal brand. Dimitri, you own that space. And 1,000% you should do it. The other one, learn how to run local models and how to use AI. How to use AI properly is $1 million to $1 billion skill, depending on where you apply it. Now, to your point about you can always tell, AI is like plastic surgery. You only notice it when it's bad. Because I can show you 5 videos right now, and not like a 10-second clip. I'm talking like a 4-minute ad where you will not be able to tell it's AI. Now, also, you can storytell in ways that you couldn't before with AI, because you can do something that is probably obviously AI, but if you do it like plastic surgery, if it's not bad, you won't know whether it was done by a professional Pixar animator or that. But I have a client who did a roof where it was like the 3 Berenstain Bears, where they, like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears, where she finds a house and stays in it and stays warm, and the logo of the company is a bear, and so it's like underneath the gold. Anyways, it's like an animated Pixar movie. But here's the thing, you're absolutely right that you can't just be an AI slop cannon, right, and think that that's going to do it. But you said exactly the right thing. You're using Kickcharge Creative because they're charging you enough money, because they've built the brand that they can be humans being human to produce you what you like. But then your team can then take that to improve it. last point I'll make is that it's not about generating 1,000 Facebook posts of AI slop, but there are text-based things. There will be image and video based things where AI can monitor and improve itself. I'm trying to hold back like all this stuff that I want to talk about, but anybody wants to know about like how AI can be self-improving, look up Andre Karpathy Auto Research. He was one of the founders of OpenAI. He worked at Tesla. He released for free essentially what you guys might just dub as an algorithm, but basically it's a thing that can take an objective KPI as long as the tool can connect to the thing that does the work, right? Like if it can connect to Google Ads, so it can change the headlines, and it can also read the KPI. So you can say click-through rate is my KPI. I want you to write headlines, and I want you to look at the results and see, and then test. If you can do those three things, which you can do right now, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, your website for site speed, like anything with an objective KPI, you can put on a loop that can run 30 tests a day. Some marketing agencies run 30 tests a year. So I agree with you so much, and you 1000% have to protect the authenticity of your brand, live video, real you, because that is the moat in a world full of AI slop. I 1000% agree with you there.
I'll also add that. Go
I
ahead.
think the thing with that, I was going to say earlier, is that I agree with what you're saying, but the problem is just like anything else. The problem is when people use it in excess, because I know a handful of things that are out there that create AI images and videos and content and all that sort of thing. I think that it's a good filler. You know what I mean? Like for the guy who's busy, if you're not there to post on the frequency that you would like, you use that stuff as a filler. Not if you're abusing it like anything else, then it just looks like crap and nobody's going to like it. And then the thing about AI is just, when we say that phrase now, it has a different meaning to every person. It's such a broad definition. You know, one person will mean marketing, one person will mean admin. You know, so it's like saying internet. It's like, how do you use it? And I think that's the kind of where you kind of hone in and say, you know, what does it mean to that person or business?
I will say this, that people reward expertise, they reward hard work, they reward effort. Like I can hire Sam to work on my claim. Do I expect him to, write Xactimate? No, I expect probably his AI chatbot, whatever, write it, but I expect him to proofread it. Same with my lawyer. Same with I trust his expertise and I'll pay top dollar because he is an expert. And the same goes with the ads. When you see something, you can see if people put work in. I would argue, Adam, that video that you're mentioning that was really good and storytelling and everything is probably not just 2-second prompt. It's probably been created and recreated, right? And that's what people respect and appreciate, because you can see when people did the work. All right, guys, I don't want the whole episode to fight over it. Like, we have some great news here. I want to talk about this. The great SaaS sell-off. So this is the first story today. Over the last few months, the software industry took a huge hit. And by software, we're talking about big names. So we're talking about companies like Salesforce and ServiceTitan in our industry. So these are SaaS platforms or software as service. As a whole, SaaS companies have lost up to $1 trillion. Huge problem for SaaS companies, and in value this year so far, investors are selling off shares, and it's because of AI. So the first problem is that that is much easier to build software now than AI can write code. That means more startups and more competition for big players. But the bigger concern is what happens to the pricing model. Most SaaS platforms charge per user. If AI starts doing the work of those users, that model gets weaker. So I actually have seen it in our space with the Roofle, because you can go right now to cloud and say, hey, I want to pull data from here, from Zillow, whatever, and I want to build estimates instant within a couple minutes. And a lot of roofers can compete with the Roofle now, where 3 years ago it was only Roofle. So Roofle have to make a decision, how much are they charging and what's their competitive edge. But the big so instead of clicking through a CRM, the idea is that a contractor could use AI agents to do that admin work, things like answering messages, scheduling jobs, and generating reports. So what do you guys think?
I'll tell you, like growing up, my biggest dream was to be a door-to-door encyclopedia salesman. I thought that was the coolest thing. Like you can just, everyone's gonna need information forever. I could just go door-to-door. I'll sell you all the information you could ever need. And then the internet came along and my dream died. And it's like, and a lot of people did that and it died.
You can
off.
sell internet door to door.
Not as exciting. Okay. And like Google's free, you know, like it just wasn't there. And so like, it's like, is it actually a bad thing? It's like, no, all the encyclopedia salesmen lost a job. No one prints encyclopedias anymore. We save a ton of trees. Like, but it was better for humanity as a whole. I agree. The SaaS is like, and I know you have some technology background. I know Adam, you as well, but SaaS really is like the most predatory, highest inflated industry we've ever seen, right? Like the subscription models and software as a service, like the multiples they get and the valuations they're given were huge for a good reason. But like if they die off, yeah, it's going to hurt the economy in a certain standpoint, but it's really best for humanity that we move past this.
So I agree with you, but I'll push back a little bit on why is that like, right? So when I fly Delta or when you go to airplane, right? Like what do they rely on? Like they rely on something like Salesforce, like to connect with, when you buy a ticket, you want to make sure that notification to you comes on time about delays, about whatever, right? Like you don't want to stuck at the counter that like, where's my order? Like DHL, whatever. So big businesses rely on software and whoever figure out the problem, they solve, they win in business in general. So for me, I think market sets the price of, like the bigger problem you solve, like Salesforce, if they fix the problem for Microsoft or for Delta, they deserve to get rich. Now, the problem is that Delta can do something with the AI, like they can save. Like now you have a competition. Now everybody's fixing it. But I agree with you. It is overpriced a little bit, but only because of capitalism. Adam, where are you at?
So the response from companies like Salesforce, ServiceTitan, HubSpot has been to create their own agents in the software because the per seat user problem that they have to get rid of, like these roof claws that I'm building can do, half or 3/4 of the job of an employee, but they can do the work of 10 of them. So they'll take 3/4 of the work off their plate, like the tasks of a particular role, but it can do 10 at a time. A quarter of the work still needs to be human, but now they have the time because the AI is taking care of the rest. So the idea is like now they're not going to hire 6 more people, so they're not going to buy 6 more user seats. So the idea was let's embrace this incoming agent and we'll charge for credits, essentially a markup on OpenAI tokens or Claude Opus 4.6 credits. Now even that's under attack because they have not evolved as fast as like the outside market or even Claude itself. So I think you're going to see the next round is either they're going to hold your collateral. So Salesforce has said they're a closed data company. You're not allowed to train your AI on your own data that exists in your own instance. Or you're going to see what like HubSpot's approach is taking is they're going to probably charge for API access. So they're going to, just like charging for credits, they're going to charge for infrastructure access to the API, because the thing that people love about agents is that from Claude Code, I can take all my leads out of my sales rabbit. I can put them all into my HubSpot. I can email them all from my Gmail, and then I can create all the company cam instances, and then I can switch to another task without ever leaving this one window. So they're going to charge for API access to try and remain a context layer instead of maybe because it was a system of record, and then it was a system of action. Now their only real moat is remaining a context layer inside of like a hybrid workforce and charging for access to that infrastructure through an API call limit and then charging for API calls. That's probably going to be where the pricing model is going to change. So they're still going to get paid, but the market has moved from 30-year multiples to 12-year multiples. So Salesforce has gone down 60%. It just means they're saying we're only going to reward you with a 12-year price to earnings. And I'm not a stock guy, but like I know the multiples condensed down to around 12 years from like 30 and 40.
Adam, we're losing audience. We're gonna give you like 60
I'm
seconds.
sorry, you brought me into this topic. I am still operating at grade 2 with you guys, okay? So maybe you guys should read a book, okay? Like, I'm trying to keep this surface level as best as I humanly can. We want to start talking about...
Thank God for editing, team. We always can cut you down later. Brad, where are you at?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is within the industry, right? Like, there should be a reasonable profit margin, right? And reasonable should be defined, right? And it's not 85, 95%. That's not reasonable, right? So I think these companies, they really got to look at their cost of doing business and figure out what do they need to break even, and then what markup do they want to put on it, and then charge that, right? So that's what we do at BuilderLink, right? Like, there's unlimited seats. We know our token cost, and then there's an amount that everybody gets per month. And then if you exceed that, it's very transparent that this is what this will be. And that's to cover the cost. We're not going to make money on marking up the token cost. We're going to make money on the $5.99 subscription for our user to provide something of value, which is not having to have 6 different pieces of software to do one task, right? And to have one place to do it. That's secure. And that's the big point, that it's secure, right?
By the way, spoiler alert, tomorrow I have people from Salesforce in my studio for the podcast live. So you enjoy that.
It's funny, man. All this stuff gotten to be like, it feels like cable. Like, remember where you had everything in one, and now you broke all the subscriptions down, and now you got 20 different subscriptions, and now it's more than cable. And now that's how I feel like
that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it is.
And then you're going to see people try and make all-in-one. But here's the problem with all-in-one. Brad, I know this is a shot across the bow at you, and it's not intended to be. It's more intended to everybody else. Like the Job Nimbuses of the world suffer this too. Zuper, everybody. Is that the minute all-in-one becomes the operating norm, someone will come out with something that gives you an advantage. And then you want it to be integrated. And this is where like the constant turmoil of the toggle tax of working within multiple systems. Because it's like, you as a software company will have to decide, are we multi-trade or are we just roofing? Are we dealing with insurance and residential or just like retail residential? Are we doing commercial? How are we going to change for in-house labor out? Like all of these different user classes and role-based access control becomes this software creep. And so you will always have, like you can't ever truly sell the all-in-one, this is the only software you ever need, because someone's going to come out with an advantage that your users would want to take advantage of, like Roofle. You know what I mean? Like Roofle is not a CRM, but you want to use it because it might give you an advantage. And so that's why to Mike's point, this is where companies are starting to gravitate towards something like a Roofclaw that's agnostic, and it's like, it's yours. It's your on-premise. This laptop is, I want to grab one, but they're all over there. But like this laptop has your memories, your data, your operating infrastructure, and then you can choose what language models you're connecting to. You can choose to what database you connect to, and you can choose which softwares you connect to. And when you leave, that software isn't holding you hostage with your data and your workflows and your automation, because you're just changing the endpoint. You're just changing it. I used to add context with RoofLink. Now I add context to Job Nimbus or Zuper or HubSpot or BuilderLink or whatever. So you're pulling the automation that you were used to saying, hey, I want to automate when a new lead comes into Roofle. I want it to add a contact in Job Nimbus and send a postcard with dope marketing. And that
Adam, your 60 seconds are up. We have a contractor and software. We have a contractor and public adjusters are literally falling asleep. 60 seconds. I know. Adam, we should do an episode just with you.
I'm trying, man. This is still grade 2 stuff. If you don't learn this is like you.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for inviting you. No, this is good. I'm gonna actually.
Everybody else should probably learn how to use AI.
I'm gonna let you speak now because you're gonna introduce the second story. I'll just say I love this competition, and instead of shingle guide, we're gonna do CRM guide this year, and we'll just have some kind of Olympics. I would invite maybe all CRM CEOs and have them argue. And
that would be fun. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Contractors love the catch-all because it makes every single one of their roof builds easier and more profitable. Protective netting wraps facade and landscaping to prevent from left-behind nails and damage. Homeowner referrals bring you more jobs, and insurance supplements bring you more profits. But my favorite part, the branding.
All right,
so the question that really in this story is, are there too many roofing tools? Roofing CRMs are arguably oversaturated at this point. We have the big ones like Service Titan, AccuLynx, Job Nimbus, and RoofR. And then there are specialized tools for marketing or estimates, and more startups popping up all the time. Contractors are using more software than ever before. The problem is these tools don't always integrate well, and a lot of them have overlapping features.
Nothing drives me more mad than buying an additional tool and then pitching me on why they're a CRM as well. I'm like roofer, no offense. I'm like, I use you for your measurements. I don't need an additional CRM for everything.
Everybody recently got, and Adam, if I ask you a direct question, you have like 30 seconds now, or I'll cut your microphone off. Give me 30-second answer. Why do you think every tool, to Sam's point, decided to enter in the CRM space? Is it because of the multiples?
No, well, it's because a business is measured lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. You want to be the hub, not the spoke. And so you said 30 seconds. I want my time back. So the problem is
ChatGPT, summarize what Adam's
I'm
about to
counting 30 seconds.
you're talking during my 30 seconds. I'll give you a quick one. Okay, ProLine. It used to be called Powerline. It used to send text messages. You did a video about them. They sent text messages and emails connected to all the CRMs.
Now they're
As
CRM.
the CRMs absorbed those features, ProLine had to become a CRM in order to stay alive because the CRMs were going to absorb their feature set. So you want to be the hub, not the spoke. There. Happy?
Yeah, very happy. Thank you. This is so far the best answer. Because here's the thing. This guy survived Steve Badger last week. He's not going to survive this podcast. I think we'll lose him. Brad, what do you think?
So I think, to Adam's point, everybody wants to be the one-stop shop, right? But it's really hard to do. And it's really hard to do it excellently, right? Because if you're doing too many things, then you would think you can't be excellent at all of them. But I don't think that's the case currently, right? And here's a prime example. Because I have historically loved, and I still do, it's a fantastic CRM and measurement software, is Roofer, right? If Roofer could have just put a module in that did company cam, and then had a module that did top of the funnel activities, it'd be great, right? It would be great. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. And those are not hard. Like the code, and I'm not like a developer, but like my partner is. And he's like, no, it's not hard. So I think if you have somebody who's willing to listen to the customer, to where a new module, they want, hey, this is a new flavor of the month, can we do it? And then you add it to a roadmap and vote on it, look at it, whatever the case may be, right? And then you can roll it out. It just takes a little bit of effort, and it just takes a little bit of intuitiveness, and then you can do it. I think a lot of the problem is people are lazy, man. Like, they're lazy.
I got a question. So do you be, if software were restaurants, do you be a restaurant that you can go in there and you got this big ass menu and you can get anything off the menu, or do you be like a Cane's?
There's a reason that Starbucks doesn't sell burgers, right? Like, be the best at what you're the best at, leave
Amen.
the rest to everyone else. And that's what everyone needs to do. And that's all these CRMs, like all these softwares, what they get wrong. They're like, they get into it and they're, I put it this way, like a lot of roofing companies are started by like sales reps. A lot of these tech companies are started by, to your point, developers. And so like the owner, the person that founded the business, their fascination, their interest is building new software. And they built one that works. Well, what do they want to do all day? They just want to keep building more and more software.
Yeah.
And like, so then what are they going to do? Inevitably, they're going to build more software.
You're exactly right.
Take the developer out of the CEO spot.
So at BuilderLink, there's 4 owners.
Mm-hmm.
One's a developer and 3 own roofing companies, and that's why it's going to work well.
I agree.
But
You know what I thought happened?
Take you in a
I
weird
thought that-
direction.
Okay, we're gonna invite you to that fight between CRM CEOs, and we'll see if you
Will take
come
you in a
on.
weird direction. Here's the issue with that process. Most of the roofing CRMs are started by roofing companies. AccuLinks, Leap, which was Job Progress, ProLine. Like, most of them actually were started by roofing companies. And the idea of the users with the roadmap, ProLine probably has a pretty good roadmap as far as like you're getting people to vote on features, but your most vocal users aren't necessarily your best users. And then your users will take you in weird directions. Like ProLine is largely being dictated by CR3, the franchise, because they represent the largest users.
That is what Steve Jobs got right over everything, right? Is he said, don't listen to the customers. They don't know what they want until we tell them, right? And you're saying too many companies listen to their users.
You have to design what is provable and knowable and predictably valid to improve the homeowner buying experience. But all the CRMs can be summed up. AccuLinks was a very closed, this is the way you do it. You got 5 stages, that's it. Job progress, you're free to set it up as stupid as you want or as smart as you want. Then RoofR was like the Temu of everything roofing. They came out with the cheaper Sumo Quote, the cheaper Eagle View, the cheaper Job Nimbus, the cheaper Roofle. They're just
That's an aggressive comparison.
Okay, and then like Job Progress.
Someone is getting cease and desist letter, and it's not me.
I've said this before. Like, and Leap was just like the same kind of thing, but in the AccuLinks format. So like very, very strict. You only had one buyer's pipeline. You couldn't have multiple stages. And there was reasons that were good and bad for all those decisions.
I'm a consumer advocate. I see complaints on all of them every single day. Every single day I see somewhere on Facebook a roofer asking like, "Hey, I'm with this company. Anybody can recommend CRM because I'm switching every single day from Job Nimbus to AccuLinks to Leap, from Leap to."
Like this. What the interesting story that would be helpful for everybody to know is you're gonna see this young business kind of ecosystem evolve, where it's going to be small companies that are very, very profitable. A good example, Zuper is kind of taking the world by storm right now. And I had a friend who owns a Christmas light business. And I was like, you should get on Zuper. You know, he followed me to HubSpot. He's done really well. But he's young. He's like 30, right? Well, he looked at Zuper, and kind of to Sam's point, it has some features you want, but some you don't. Some kind of works, and you buy another software, but then that software is overlap, like, and then you're getting sold by both to move. Well, this 20-year-old, go ahead. You're going to be part of the permanent underclass if you don't learn this stuff. So this kid, he built his own Christmas light version of Zuper. He's got company cam, he's got Chrome extensions, he's got mobile apps to field, 160 hours of work, 600 updates on GitHub, like 600 versions that he did. He did it in a month and a half, and he maybe spent 30 hours actually at the computer. And he's replicated the entire software of Zuper by himself. Now, he couldn't sell it to other people. It doesn't have the ability to be multiple payment gateways and all this kind of stuff. But for him, in 160 hours, he replicated everything he wanted. Chrome extensions, mobile app, field workers, inventory management, everything in 160 hours. Now, obviously, Mike is not going to do that. He's just going to be a part of the permanent underclass. But this kid, right, is going to mop up Christmas lights in his market. And he already is. And he's doing it with
I'll tell you, Adam, I think you're onto something. I think it's that technology is going to do what the automobile did. It started with one thing, which was like the basic internet, right? It was the Model T. And then you got through the 50s and 60s, and this huge expansion of different vehicles, and everyone's got this unique thing, and everyone's like doing their own version with all these companies. And now we're getting to like the post-industrialized, the postmodern version of automobiles, where everyone's like, I don't even like driving. Like, this kind of sucks. Like, put me in a Tesla, like press one button, and I'm fine. Like, I don't even care what it looks like anymore. And we're getting to that point with technology, to your point, that like it went from like there was like no options, and everyone's like, oh, we'll make our own. And now we're getting to the point where like no one likes CRMs. No one likes data entry. We all hate our jobs. What
do I have to do today?
We don't even want that. I want a dime piece on my phone virtually that I can talk to a virtual assistant and be like, hey, here's what I want you to do. And then they run off and do it. Like, that's really what we want. Anything short of that's gonna suck, and that's where it's gonna go.
CRM. It's all
exactly.
We don't want to look at user interface and databases and buttons. We just want to go, what do I have to do today? What did I do yesterday? How do I succeed today? What do I need tomorrow? What do I need to be worried about?
Yes,
and this assistant takes care of all the data entry and moving stuff around with stages and then at the end of the month, you're like, what's the report?
Yes, we're on the back side of the slope. SaaS is dying. These individual things are dying. Eventually, we'll get to just one model, which is what AI is all going to turn into. Technology is going to turn into. It's just one point, one thing you talk to, and it does everything. You click one button, the car drives itself.
Hegemony of like 3 large language models, and you're going to hope that you list Adam Sand, build your own infrastructure, and listen to the boring conversation. Buy a roof club. There, that's my one plug of the episode. Next topic.
All right. Let's talk last one. What does it all mean for the contractors, Brad?
Here's what I love about automations. They're working while you're sleeping. When your CRM marks a job approved, boom, postcards automatically go to the neighbors. When your customers hit a certain spend threshold, boom, they get a handwritten thank you note sent out. It's like having a marketing team that never takes a day off and never forgets to follow up. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Let my automations do the work.
So let's zoom back out on the SaaS panic. You have investors freaking out over AI, but they are also reacting to some bigger market trends. Salesforce and other public companies are reporting slower growth and cutting price targets. That's because a lot of business owners are realizing they bought too much software over the last few years. They're paying for tools that they don't fully use, so now they're cutting back, reducing seats, and renegotiating contracts. At the same time, AI is starting to replace some of these tools, which puts pressure on the whole per-user pricing model. Yeah.
I'll tell you the
Yeah.
number one annoyance I get is, hey, we're adding a price increase because we've added all these features. I personally want to drive to the headquarters of those companies and strangle the CEOs. I'm like, just charge me a price increase. Like, I don't care if you mark it up 10% this year, but don't do it because, oh, we added all these features that no one uses, no one cares about. Your developer thought was cool.
Yeah.
Someone pitched you and you decide, like, some of these tools are good tools, like Roofer. It's great. Really cheap measurements. Quick. Easy. Don't add all this other stuff then try to upcharge to cover, well, we had to develop all this. No, you didn't. No one wanted it, you know?
I
What do you
agree with
think?
that. I think doing less is doing more. I always been minimalist. Like when I run my Stormwood Roofing company, like I had access to everything because once I start YouTube channel, everybody gives you free stuff. Try this, try that, right? For me, is if I figure out accounting and QuickBooks, that's it for the rest of my life. I'm good there, right? If I use CapCut for short form editing, that's it for the rest of my life. I'll use that tool. Some contractors use EagleView. I talked to one guy yesterday. He spent, small company, $2 million a year. He spent $20,000 in EagleViews. I'm like, you are insane, right? But maybe switch to roof. Like there's easier, cheaper versions of it. My take on it is figure out the tool, the problem that you solve, become the best of it. Like if everybody would use a roofer for aerial measurements, a roofer would bypass EagleView because everybody would switch to something that's cheaper, better, more accurate, whatever. Develop something, become number one, right? Dominate your space. Instead, they're now competing with JobNimbus and HubSpot and everything else, right? Know your space, know your lane. And it's a typical founder mistake. Once you become good at something, before you become really good at it, you start, I'm good at this, I'll do this, I'll do that. And now you're adding it. That's why I keep selling businesses. Like I sold my conference so it doesn't distract me from other stuff. Like I sold my roofing company so I can build directory. You can't sit on 5 different chairs and grow them at the same time.
You can own 5 companies. You can't be CEO of 5 companies.
Exactly.
Very different things.
How do you? Let me ask this. So how is a company? Because for example, I just was on a phone call the other day with Proline because I was struggling. I bought Proline and then I went to go cancel and I realized I bought the whole year. And then so I was like, all right, forget it. I'll just use Proline until my deadline, and if I really don't like it, whatever. But I had a real honest conversation. I'm super blunt, and I had a kind of honest conversation with AccuLynx about all their charges and all this add-ons and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. So finally, I'm just like, I'm thinking when you got these softwares, they always can sell up. Should some softwares shave things off and kind of, we've seen AccuLynx do the a la carte thing. And I think with some of these places with these things we're talking about, say you start off, let's say Roofer, you guys said Roofer. If they had a CRM, instead of giving you the larger price, should you be able to say, hey, dude, I just want this. I don't want that other crap. And then the other question is, when you get a big company like say AccuLynx, should some of these companies be able to give you a lower package if they're not providing certain things because you have to integrate with Zapier and this and that? And I don't want to pay, for example, with them. I forgot what the charge was, but it was we were paying around $200.
Mike, this is the longest question anyone's ever asked.
I don't even know what you're asking.
Right. All right. I'm pulling the Adam on you. So they're like, so do I pull? So they're paying about $200. We were paying about $200 a month for signatures. When I'm like, I can go to Zapier and get it with this other subscription for $5. So how do these big companies deal with the fact that you can just go sub it out?
They can't. They're too bloated. They're going to screw themselves. Their evaluations will go down.
There's too much technical debt to change the software is the problem. Like this is too deeply wired into that. So they can't strip, it's not like they can just flick it off because a lot of these companies were built by duct taping stuff on top of one another. They would have to go right down to the code base to allow you to pick and choose.
It's the truth.
That's why Salesforce and that's why companies like Salesforce and HubSpot are who they are, is because they have arguably done a better job of creating more like levels and feature based access, but that is a whole product design thing that like you need thousands and thousands of hours of experience on product management to understand not only how to release a feature, but then to understand like where does it sit in the pricing model, who gets it, right, and how much of it do they get. That's a whole science in and of itself. It's not so easy as just like, oh, you don't want fries, no problem, we just won't cook them. Like it's not quite from a technical perspective possible, which is why people are gravitating towards like, well, if I don't have to look at the software and I can interact with it through like a chat model on Telegram and all three of these softwares can just do it, I'll just go that route. Or they'll go the route like Drake did with the Christmas light company, where they're just like, I'm young, I got time, I only work 4 months a year, I'm going to figure it out. And then they figured it out. And he does 39% net margins as a one-person company doing $2 million a year. And he works 6 months a year. Why would he pay $2,000 a month for any software?
Exactly. So here's my advice to the contractors listening to it, listening to Adam, half of this podcast. Here's the take.
I appreciate you, Adam. I enjoyed and I took a lot of information from this. Don't let this guy beat you up.
No. Listen. In this day and time, you have to know your process, like you as a business owner. A lot of players in the marketplace, they are being taken advantage of because this firms, let's call them firms, organization, they look at the contractors as a cost, like how much can we milk them, right? And you have to be smart. And here's I'll share one story. There's company in Wisconsin, they were paying $350,000 a year, giant company, $350,000 a year to like Salesforce. And they look at their bills like, we can negotiate it, like this is ridiculous. And they negotiated to like $100,000 a year. But I talked to one of the owners and he said, I actually would pay $600,000 for what it was doing for us. So the key words here is know your process. Do not overpay for stuff that you don't have to overpay if there's a cheaper solution to that problem. Be smart, pay attention, and renegotiate. This day and time, you can go to Job Nimbus, you can go to AccuLinks and say, hey, this is what I need. This is ridiculous. I only want to pay 2% of my gross revenue towards this. And see what they say. If they don't agree, go to next door. You will figure it out. But don't be a sucker. Too many roofing companies are suckers. They pay for all of the subscriptions. They don't use them, and they go switching route instead of negotiating and improving route. That's my take.
That's what I would 1,000% like to get rid of annual contracts. I know why they do them, because shareholders want to see lifetime value compared to customer acquisition costs, lifetime value held together by contracts. But software companies should allow 30 to 60 days for free onboarding to allow you to build the software, because that's my bane of my existence. I will have a company come in, they met with HubSpot or Zuper or whoever, they want to buy it, Zuper signs them to a 1-year contract, and now it's going to take me 45 days to browbeat this roofer into understanding their process, their data, their people, how they want to run the company, and get the software built and ready for them to use. And if it takes longer than 45 days, they're bitching and moaning because the software company's charging them monthly. And I just wish these software companies would realize, like, give them 60 days. Flick the switch on. You can flick it off later, but give them 60 days to get this thing up and running before they start accumulating the stress. And then don't lock them into a 1-year contract. If your thing isn't working for them, let them go so your brand doesn't get destroyed online, because it drags me down with it. Because if I recommend
to me,
that
it's
software,
stupid.
I get dragged into it.
To me, it's stupid. Like when you have a CRM, because like we switched, and it's like if you're in our industry, we have to wait till winter to switch because it's too much. I totally agree with that. They need to give a grace period in the beginning to say we have to switch, and if not, give you some help to do it. Otherwise, people aren't just going to make the move. And if you do get all these softwares and it's something that you decide you might want to leave from, be conscious of that and get something that you can sever from when you do sever from. And then before you switch from other softwares, dig around in it, because I think the statistic is that people are only using about 40% of these softwares that they're using. It's like buying a mansion and only using the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, half of Job Nimbus users are only using contacts and not jobs. It's like buying a house, putting a pool in the basement, never going in the pool, and then complaining you paid too much for the house. It's crazy.
Why would you put a pool in the basement, Adam?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Because in Canada, you can't go outside and use the pool unless you're like Dimitri and you like to
What-
cut
what's your closing
chainsaw.
thought?
Yes, you can.
So here's the advice that I would give a roofing company, coming from a roofing company owner, not the CRM owner, right? Try them. Find a handful that you think may be good. Try them. To Adam's point, if they don't give you a free trial, that is a significant period of time to figure out if you like it. That's a red flag. Don't do business with them. Also, I agree. If there's a subscription, a contract involved, red flag. Don't do business with them. They should let you try it. They should let you use it. They should let you try to break it. They should support you along that way, right? And it should be customizable to you. And if they can't provide that type of customer service to you, don't do business with them.
That's right. Take a lesson from the crack dealers. If they won't give you the first one for free, don't buy from them. Because if the product's good enough, they know that you'll come back. Mike and I are good. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I would expect I would expect this advice from Mike.
If your product is not so good that you can give it away for free and they come back asking for more, you have a product and your product's broken.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of these companies, what they're running into is their product sucks.
Yep.
To Dimitri's point earlier, like he said the thing about the Eagle View, and I said, well, that's at $79. That's 253 Eagle Views. If he's closing 30%, he's closing $2 million. Eagle View costs aren't his problem. You know what I mean? But like, know the real problem in your business, because a lot of times it's either a people, a process, or the product, meaning the CRM. Sometimes you have a people problem. CRM isn't going to fix it. No CRM you buy is going to change the fact that outside salespeople don't put notes in the damn CRM. It's never going to change them. They're like hunters, not farmers. They don't put notes in. It's a people problem. Sometimes a process problem. Your process does not fit inside that CRM. And sometimes it is the product. Sometimes the CRM is just bad, or it's not meant for you. Like AccuLynx is probably more meant for insurance than it is meant for commercial roofers. You know what I mean? So know what the product is built for, and does it fit your process, and can you get because the tool doesn't matter as much as the process, and the process doesn't matter as much as adoption.
And the process doesn't matter as much as the process.
You know what?
I was thinking, I was like, yo, where'd you get that pro from? This
You know,
is process.
the only reason I even am who I am is because of Dimitri's conference. Years ago,
Roofing Process Conference.
The Roofing Process Conference, the very first one he did.
I'm saying that word.
We did a fair bit of work on together, and I went up on. He gave me a chance to speak on stage, and Dimitri, I thank you forever for the rest of my life for that. And I went up and I talked about process a lot because that's kind of like my thing. But I said process, and I didn't realize I said it differently because I hadn't spent as much time in America yet. And then Lenny Scarola from Rodney Webb comes up and he says, so when you're following your process, and he looks at me, and everybody realized that I suddenly realized in that moment that I said process weird, and the whole room kind of laughed, and I felt kind of shitty at the moment in that moment because I realized I was kind of the butt of the joke. But then all these people like, no man, you gotta own it. You gotta own it. Like you're a pro at the process. You like don't worry about it.
And you fell for that joke?
And then Dimitri made a T-shirt that said "Follow the Process" on it. Like pro was like separated from cess. I bought 1,000 stickers of that.
Stop it.
And whenever I went around to roofing companies, I'd hide them under the toilet seats in their desks.
We still have those stickers. Yep.
And that is why humans will always outdo AI, Adam. This is exactly their point, is that the human touch, AI can never compete with.
Don't take yourself seriously.
I got 8 of them doing the shit that they can do, and boy, those lobsters be cooking.
Love it. Great episode, guys. Brett, thank you so much for flying in. Sam, thank you for surviving another one. Adam, thank you for your wisdom, guys. If you need any help with any automation, I highly recommend Adam. He knows the process with the Roof Club process. See you guys in the next episode. Comment below what you think about this one.